So, hi everyone, thanks a lot for joining. So, this is first of its kind uh, casual talk about lessons learned, and uh, we really appreciate your time for this. The intent is we share our experiences about Solar Decathlon Build Challenge, and this become as a video documentary for future team members to look into it and take some inspiration and avoid mistakes which the teams did and build upon it. So I see we have many people from other teams, so I'm quite excited for this discussion because every project has its own stories and uh, we'll get to know. So, hi. So maybe we can do like a quick round of introduction and then I have few prompts to get started. So I'm Mayur Mistry. I'm the project manager of Team Illinois, and my background is masters in architecture grad student here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maria Pozo, and I'm the current architecture team lead. I do apologize for not having a camera. I don't have it available in this device, but it is very nice to meet you all. I'm also an MArch student from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
Hi everyone, I'm Akshay Srinivas. I was the architecture lead for the Illinois Solar Decathlon before Maria. I was part of the team for a year, had a really great time. It was a wonderful platform to collaborate, and I graduated from my MArch degree in May 2020, and I'm currently working in Seattle for a residential firm. Thank you.
Should we go or Shashi?
Yeah.
Okay, should we go?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
The Chilean part. Would you like to start, girls?
Hello to everyone. My name is Francisca. I am the team lead, a student lead to the Team Chile Casa Phoenix 2.0. I'm studying architecture and I am in the last year of to my career. Yeah.
Lori.
Hello, my name is Lorraine. I don't know what is my title in the team, but I am a member of team. I am finished my career too. It is my last year.
Awesome. Nina.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Nina Ormazábal. I'm a professor here in Valparaiso. I was the faculty lead of the group. And well, I've been at the university for years already.
Pablo.
Hello, I am Pablo Sils. I am an architect and also academic from the University of Santa Maria, located in Santiago, Chile. We're working with Nina in this solar decathlon for this one and the last one we made in 2014 in France as well. So we have the 2 solar decathlons in our body.
And I have a third one because I also participated of the Nottingham House from the UK. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Even like my senior were in Solar Decathlon France in 2014. So interesting. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for your time to do this. So the first prompt I have is when the architecture design of the project started, what were some hurdles you guys faced in the design stage?
we actually, I'm going to respond to that, and Pablo can help me, because our group, since we most of the time been in COVID pandemia period, our group, our student group started one group, then it changed over time, and we ended up with 3 of them, which is Francisca, Lorraine, and Consuelo, who's not here right now. And basically, the 2 of us plus other professor, so 3 of us, and the rest were, we end up, because of COVID, we end up hiring a construction company to build. Because the house also was going to be a house that needed to respond to all the demand of the regulation and everything, because it was going to be a reconstruction home made with national subsidy. So it was not something that we could avoid. And so we also hired a former student of ours to somehow oversee all the architecture part. So the first proposal was developed by students. We work in 2 studios, undergrad studios. And so we came up with a proposal, and then the 3 girls developed it, fulfilling all the uniform and building code. And then David, who is the architect, reviewed it with us, and we work like so many hours to put it together. So it was, and also the house went through 2 processes, because first was going to be a house for CONAF, which is the National Park division. Yeah. The national park, and it was going to be close to our university in the city of Valparaiso, where there is another demonstration home by Universidad Católica, which is, and we were going to use it as the guards' home that take care of the park. So then when we got the opportunity to do it as a reconstruction home, we had to adapt it. And then Lorraine, Francisca, and Consuelo did all that adaptation to the new place, to the new site, to the family, to all the, so the architecture went through all those processes, but since it was modular and it was based on a grid, on a structural grid, the changes could be made easily, because we were thinking of having a house that could transform throughout of time. So yeah, I don't know, Pablo, if you want to add something, or the girls want to add something.
In terms of the lessons we have in this version, with an extended period of solar decathlon for more than 2.5 years, we have to manage how to deal with the students which were already graduate. So that's why they have to make another team with fresh students in order to accomplish the lack of the time that the solar decathlon delay because of the COVID. But in normal times, you start with one group of students and then go with them until the finish. And some of them change, but not all of them.
Yeah.
In this case, we have this problem because mostly of the other students were graduating, so they leave the university or were in the process to focus in their degree. So that's when I asked about the process of a student participating in the contest.
I see. And like, just to ask to Francisca and Lauren, like, was it like the documentation through which you got information about the work done by past team members? How did you get familiarized with the project when you joined the team?
Well,
¿Entendieron la pregunta?
¿y cuál era como la elección de ¿Por qué de la parte del team? De en qué actividad nos
No,
hacíamos?
¿cómo ustedes aprendieron un poco a la dinámica de las entregas y de enviar las cosas? Porque como no estaban desde el principio, eso.
Mm. Well, for me, was very difficult because we must learn in the practice. We did change. We make change 3 times in the house because when we work the first time, it come with another design, and after we change the design because say Nina time ago, we changed from Santiago and then in Conaf and then in Valparaiso. So we make so changes and we in the team may adapt. I'm sorry, my English is not so good, but I tried.
No, it's totally perfect. We can understand. Yeah.
Yeah, Francisca wants to share the screen.
Yep, go ahead. So I think it's, I would like to comment that the whole team Chile, like, after changing the design 3 times, you guys managed to participate well. So great job. We had similar thing where we had to change from coal farm steel to wood, and yeah, please go ahead. Yep. So this is your jury presentation.
Yeah, that was one of the.
¿Tengo el micrófono abierto o no?
Ahora sí, ahora sí.
For our team, especially in our student, the partnership was very difficult to learn about the how the building code adapt to the house, because in the academy, when we worked in the design process in architecture, yeah, in the en los talleres, when we work in this part, yeah, we don't learn a lot in this kind of leyes o tipologías que exige el gobierno.
The building code.
And laws and typology, especially for subsidized homes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we have the responsibility to design this. It's not that imaginary, que no es imaginario. That is a real home, the real building. And for this, I think that we have a lot of presión or
pressure.
Responsibility to design, to do a good design in this part.
Yeah, from the beginning, muestra la primera hoja, por favor, Francisca. In the beginning of this is no la primera hoja. At the beginning, we were thinking about a multi-story, multi-family building placed in Santiago, in order to demonstrate the flexibility of a wood structure to have a small apartments that can change over the time. Then we decide to change and make one prototype of this building. You see here. So we choose one of those flat from this building to make a prototype, and that will be our Solar Decathlon contest home. Okay, so you will see in the corner, up right in the corner of the building. Then the process of design was the decision where you put the prototype. we can choose putting it here in Santiago or in Valparaiso. When we were doing that process, there was an opportunity to put it in this National Park Forestry Council, when we decided to put this like a prototype. But it wasn't like a showroom, a home that many others on Solar Decathlon, past Solar Decathlon, where the people can visit it, can feel it, but nobody lives there in reality. Therefore, this something like was an empty effort. Suddenly, another fire broke up in Valparaiso, and 245 families get homeless when we were in that process. Then we had the opportunity, we were talking with the Ministry of Housing, to build this house in a place where some family lost their home. So we changed again. But you can see from the beginning to the end, the home structure remains the same. And when we change too many times the design of the interior of the home, we demonstrate that the flexibility of this design is robust. We mean that you can change many different layouts of the home, but meanwhile, the structure remains the same. And that was our main goal, to demonstrate that this structure, you can build a multi-story house, building, or a single home, and with all those changes. So these girls came with this project just before we decided to move the prototype from the Forestry Council to Valparaiso. And they got the responsibility to build a house, not just for the competitions, for a family who had a lot of expected to live there. So that was really challenging, to have a student doing a real home with the real code and all the pressure of the problematic of the building in this kind of conditions.
Yeah, that's so inspiring that like during the journey, like the key idea of adaptability and flexibility was shown with different location, different client, and a family is living. Even for our project, we wanted a family to live after we built. So that was the key reason we chose our route. That's amazing and quite inspiring story. And,
yeah. In the meantime, we're forgetting one experience we had. We paired up with a university in the States, remember?
Ah.
So for that, and then also Solar Decathlon changed the rules a little bit, because in order to show the houses in Washington, D.C. at the mall, the restrictions were very, very extreme. We had to be on a trailer. We could not do certain things. And so we need to just show like a bit of the house, but all the houses need to fulfill the measurements. So we went through all that process too. That was working time, was hours, and was meeting with our partners in the States, the other university that we were going to work with. And that also, we work on that too. And we had all presentations where the house wasn't a trailer, and we were thinking how we will do it. And then at the end, it didn't work out, because then COVID changed everything at the same time. At that point, I remember we were about to sign our agreement between the universities. And then all of a sudden we start having, Chile at the end of 2019, before COVID, went through a social crisis. And for a month in October, mid-October, everything stopped. And we went into curfew, and so it was like too many. So that's why I think we want resilience, because we couldn't be more resilient in order to put up with this project. And still now we're about to finish. Then we have to wait for reception and then for the family to go live there. And I think in a couple of weeks, the house will be fully completed. And we're finally going to make a good Matterport. But yeah, it's been, and Lorraine and Francisca, they took a studio, or Lorraine maybe not, I don't remember if the two of you were there, but at least Francisca was in a studio that was working how to adapt the house to be in Washington, D.C. So it was another process in between that when we went through. So we're devoted to the house completely.
Yeah, I can totally relate, like the time and effort put forward, because we were shipping from Illinois to DC, and we had to figure out the transportation challenges, and you were shipping from another country, so that's whole set of another challenges. And I think Team Illinois and Chile were the like last most team to start the project, and every other team had finished almost before the pandemic. And for us, pandemic caused a lot of challenge because we had to start from scratch. So it's it has been a long journey. So we have Akshay, Sheetal, and Maria, who are the architecture team leads. So I would ask them to share their experience. And then another question I had was related to sponsorship, which will come back later. So before that, Akshay, you raised your hand. So
Hi, thank you. So I was curious to know about how you went about talking to the city and how you found the people who got ready to live in the house. So I mean, if you could talk a little about that, then I could probably talk about our story and everything.
Well, we in our previous experience with Casa Phoenix 1.0, we already did this similar, in a sense that it was, at that time, it was a huge, one of the biggest disaster the city of Valparaiso went through. And there was an immense fire that destroyed 3,000 homes, which is like 4% of the city of Valparaiso, which is a lot for a city. And so 12,000 people lost their homes. 9 hills of the 42 hills of Valparaiso were basically burned. So at that time, at the beginning, we were responding to earthquake. We started to respond. Our emergency and typical emergency in the Chilean culture are earthquakes. Despite the we have volcanoes, we have floodings, we have landslides, but then when we were working for the 2010 earthquake, we realized that Valparaiso, the most destroyful disaster, natural and provoked, was becoming more and more the urban fires. So that's why we moved from earthquake to fires. And then we realized that we had all type of natural disaster that often occur in our culture and country. And so we decided that emergency was going to be our response, because there was not a response at that time that was clear. After any catastrophe, the national response is to respond with houses that are almost disposable. So they are called media agua, which means like a pitch roof, half a pitch roof, sort of. And they are light built, and they end up being just wasted material, and in some cases it made poverty to last longer, because sometimes a fast home to end up living for, I don't know, 20 years. People live on those homes that are completely very bad. So then we had the experience and we wanted to do something different this time. So that's why we started as an urban infill. And we were working with segregation and gentrification in Santiago. So we started working with that as our pretext. And at that point, one of our students, as a matter of fact, the first one to the right or to the left, Consuelo, she made her internship in the local housing authority in Valparaiso. Nice. And they needed to start the reconstruction of the 2019 fire that haven't started. And it was already the summer of 2020, 1 year, and they haven't started not a single home without, COVID was not here yet, was really, still was in the Asian countries. So, so she was working there, and I remember Pablo and I were on vacation, summer vacation, and then she called us and said, professors, you know, they are asking us if we could use the house that we were going to use for the National Forest Association, if we could use that house to be the first reconstruction home. COVID was not there yet. And we said, wow, that's a wonderful opportunity because it was going to be a real home. And that's when we made the switch. That's when we brought back, that's why it's called Phoenix 2.0, because it was going to be called Metamorphosis. That was the name of the house at the beginning of the project, because we had this idea of the house changing and adopting to families, and throughout time, incremental growing and all that. And then when this happened, we said, this is an opportunity. And we talked to the girls, and they all love that idea. So then we say, okay, and we were 5 or 6 of the girls, and at the beginning more. And then as time went by, they start, because of the pandemic, they start walking away because of the situation. And yeah, but that's how it happened. That's how it became an opportunity. This is when we were working with that. Well, this is already the family, but as you've seen the pictures, it's the different stages the house went through.
That's so wonderful.
And then so the fundraising became easier because it was subsidized by the government. The money, the main money for the house, one part, we had already worked on it with the different companies that we worked before. And the other part came from the government, from the National Subsidy for Social Housing. So that made it easier in a way.
Yeah, I think it looks like the time frame was the challenge once, because it was in December and we had to build it for measured tests by April. So a lot of challenges, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Akshay, yeah.
So in terms of the experience, I had joined 6 months after the competition had started. So the concept stage had already begun and I had joined as a member. So most of us were international students. So it was a very good learning experience for us also in terms of how the construction happens in this country. And it was totally, I mean, in terms of how we treat the climate, how we treat the finances and everything. So that was, I think, the biggest experience. And even we were working on building an adaptable modular system. So we totally resonate with and get excited when you are talking about how it changes, because we realize that that's such a good way of thinking about architecture, where it keeps changing and doesn't stagnate. In terms of challenges, so because we were one, we were international students, and second, we were looking for teacher mentorship. So that, I guess, was both a challenge and it was an interesting challenge for us because we didn't have a guide to constantly go with us. So we went and searched for a lot of things on our own. We kept meeting a lot of people, and not only from our college, but from the profession, but from wherever we could, to find sponsorship, to find architecture guidance, to understand how structure works with architecture. And most importantly, to understand building performance, how we treat climate and the building. So I guess they were some exciting challenges. And lastly, I guess working together as a team, because most of us were doing it for the first time. So figuring the solutions out together and finding what is the most relevant solution, cost effective, and also learning to work with each other's timelines and making sure no one's schedule gets busy. So there were some interesting challenges that we were able to overcome.
Yeah, like few things I would like to add is like in for our case, we didn't have a separate studio for this. So students were working on their studio and then in free time working on Solar Decathlon, and it got quite hectic. And we were in our first design proposal, we were doing cold form steel, which is not typically like a material we work with in design studios. So we had to work with the contractor to figure out how, when two modules are added, how are the MEP services, architectural services connected when they will be placed on ground, what kind of details for roof and canopy. I remember Akshay sitting with the architect from Skander and drawing out details, sending that details to them, and then again getting feedback that maybe this can be changed to improve the thermal envelope. So a lot of back and forth where students, since we didn't have like a teacher mentor, they had to do and learn a lot of things on their own and get feedback from contractors or design profession, which is good and bad in both ways, where students learned a lot, but also it came at a cost of their time and a lot of things they had to study on their own. And now I would like to ask Maria. So after Akshay graduated, Maria took over. So Maria, what were some things which you find challenging when you became the new lead, and what were some things Akshay did which helped you for the transition?
Yeah, so I want to start saying that the transition was as smooth as it could be because of Akshay's great guidance. I do have to say, he spent a very big part of his summer meeting with us once or twice a week, guiding us through the process, and it was extremely helpful to understand the project. It was definitely challenging because of, first of all, as Mayur mentioned, we didn't have faculty or professors involved in the project, so it was student run project. And second, we were in the middle of COVID when the transition happened. So this was all online. We were scattered all over the country. Some people were even in other countries in different time zones. So it was challenging. And I think it was a very, very important learning experience for us to be very resilient in the way we go about a project, and how we change our working habits to adapt to this new reality that we were living, and working with professionals that were guiding us on their own time, managing to, many of us were in the middle of internships and trying to get acquainted with the project. And I feel that the next challenge after that was bringing this project that was very developed already, design wise. And a lot of the sponsorship for the project was already negotiated, but there were many sponsorship elements that were still needed. So it was definitely a challenge, but also a great experience to find sponsorship with many different companies that had the same sustainable values that we were looking for in the context of the pandemic, which was very harsh in the economy. So a lot of companies that initially wanted to work with us couldn't do it anymore. But thankfully, the team did a very good job in acquiring the products, and we were able to complete the house very close to its initial vision in a short amount of time.
Yeah, and like kudos to Maria and her team. Like they took over all the technical aspect very well and did the project on time, secured all the sponsorship, and resolved all the pending details. So one thing I'd like to share about our timeline is, so for Washington DC showcase, which was supposed to be in June 2020, like in February, we were about to send details to Skander, our module manufacturer, and at that time we got to know that because of pandemic, they had to temporarily close their factory. So then the competition got delayed. So okay, we thought we got more time to work on sponsorship and resolve details. Then we worked around, and in October 2020, we finalized everything. We were about to send everything, and Skander was started. All the materials were in their factory. In October end, they were supposed to deliver us the first two modules. In mid, just 2 weeks before that, we got to know that they are closing their factory because of the pandemic and they are not gonna work. And then we were like, we started searching for all the contractors, and not many contractors do cold form steel. So for a month we did that search, we couldn't find one. And then we started searching another contractor, and we thought, okay, we are open to change the whole design from cold form steel to wood. And then because of the pandemic, not a lot contractors were free. So fortunately we found one contractor who took up the challenge to deliver and build the house in 3 months, and we started in December. And it was like this last semester, the whole team was, half of the time they were on site, half of the time they were working on D7, D8 submission, half on presentation. So it was all over the place.
Yeah. I think it was like that for everybody, isn't it? It was just.
Yeah. But it's good that I think the best part, which I like, is apart from a lot of struggles, people learn a lot, and a family lives in that house. That's the most satisfactory feeling, that all the work you did, it's being built and people are living. So two more questions I have is, one more thing I like to share is, for the building code part, one thing we realized later is we use Pella doors for our windows and doors. And once we ordered all the material, and then we were about to construct the door, and the contractor said that this door doesn't work as per the code. You need a tempered glass. So we had to change the glass and pay for some extra money for that. So a lesson learned was maybe get involving contractor beforehand, while before buying materials from sponsors, can save a bit of cost and also make the building code compliant. So the next question I have is, did your team faced any like sponsorship challenges? Was there any particular material which took more time, or what were some strategies you adopted to get sponsors for your project?
We ended up changing several materials, not all of them, because we had some materials already ordered before COVID. So, but then while we started to build, we start facing the scarcity of material, which delayed everything. And sometimes we change certain materials, we replace, for instance, all the tin envelope was going to be, it's called small, it's kind of like a corrugated, and they went out of it. So we had to replace it for the other type of tin material, which is most of Valparaiso houses from the 1900s have this corrugated metal sheets that goes around. And so we needed to do a lot of adjustments all the time until now. And yep. And same for the finishings, because the finishings are very expensive, and this house is not a very expensive house. So at the beginning we wanted certain things, but then we have to adapt it to the situation, in this case, to the type of housing. And also because we were working with a construction company and they wanted to make a little bit of money as well, of course, with their work. So that was another big issue for us all the time, like not fighting necessarily, they were partners of ours, but we had these arguments, like they wanted to do things one way, we wanted to do it this other way. We have to tell everybody, even the family, this is also, it's a real home, nothing is going to happen, but it's an experimental home at the same time. It is an experimental home in many senses. This is not the way houses are commonly done or built here. So.
Nice. Yeah. So, yeah, being open and flexible to all the challenges for materials and solving problem on site at that time. Was there any sponsor you had to contact during pandemic, and did it make difficult because of the economic situation?
Well, in the other experience, we got a lot more sponsors that donate things. At this time, we had to pay for some of the same ones. Before, we pay a cheaper price, but we have to be willing to receive what they could give us. So that was another way to be flexible and adapted to it. Yeah.
God. Akshay, do you have any strategies you want to share you adapted to contact sponsors?
I think we started with a basic research of understanding what is there in the market. And then of course, how could I? So we had started sponsorship in summer 2019. And that was when I was interning for Solar Decathlon. And because it was summer and I had a lot of free time, what I would do is I would just go to some contractors who were constructing buildings at the university. And I would just ask them if they have, say, extra materials, or ask them, this is what you're trying to do, what is your strategy? So in that way, before buying materials, we were thinking if someone has some surplus materials and if they have something waste, then we can use that waste in innovative ways and then say, make cladding out of it, or we can use it for for insulating the houses when the house where, say, it's not that important, or find innovative ways to save material in that way. And after doing that process, then our team went on to researching online and then talking to industry experts, going to conferences where a lot of products were being displayed, getting their contacts. So yeah, I guess that those were some few strategies. And then once we got a basic list ready, then we kept populating it based on whoever was responding. And then we kept calling them a lot of times, telling them it's going to be beneficial for them. it's a marketing benefit, and we sold our house as if it's the best thing in the world. And yeah.
Yeah, we even had like a sponsorship package, which was useful. Okay. So the last question I have for today's talk is, can you share one piece of advice to future peak athletes or team members? I'll just limit to one.
I can say that you can focus on the concept of the project. You can change the design many times, but the concept must remain all the time, from the beginning to the end. You can better get it improving the concept, but you cannot discard it or change it completely. You can change the design, but not the concept. That's the way to, I think that you can success.
Lauren, okay, sorry, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, I was in my screen. I was just going through the people I. So, Lauren, would you like to share one piece of advice to future team members?
Okay. Yeah, well, it was very difficult, but for my experience in this project, it was very successful for my knowledge and know the reality in Chile. It was very important to me because we try to I practice my all my intelligence in this project. I practice in January, and we practice our resilience or our adaptability to the change. We was always the proof, and we have a lot of problem because Chile was in un estallido social, ¿cómo decir eso?
Social crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we was very, we was a lot of students. We was 15 in a moment. Then with a social crisis, we made to change this, and there with COVID it was very bad, and so we was to prove always. We changed the habitant, so we must to change the design, but the primary structure always was the same. Always was this structure, and we must to change the part of house. For example, this well, this bedroom wasn't here before a time ago, but the owner was problem of their legs, piernas, o tiene problemas de salud. So we must put this bedroom there, and the second floor to have changed to because before, for example, this was a design this right, and for minimizar the cost, we must to put this bedroom there and this bedroom there, for example, and the bathroom there. But the, how I say, the primary structure always was the same. We must to change some, make change in the interior, but the structure never changed.
Nice painting on the staircase.
And now this bathroom is very beautiful now.
Yeah, it's great.
If I have to say something that I guess is very important is that it's important that there is a group that understand each other and are passionate about what they're doing, that they believe what they're doing, and are willing to give up other things to work for the project. Because otherwise, especially when in situations like we had to leave, that passed during our experience, you need, for us, for Pablo and myself, it was very important to identify a group of students that were willing to work together, to accept, to go through it with bad and good all the time. And I think that is very important because this is really a group work.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for the group not to claudicate in the route, not to be defeated, you need to have persons that can work together, because that's the idea, I think, of this challenge. It's like that you have to make a project happen within 2 years and keep it alive all the way through. So I think that is important, the relationships. I think that's a very, I remember Francisca was saying something like that. Remember when, yeah. She said something, yeah, related to that.
For us, it's very important to work in a team. Yeah, for this, for example, when we work in an academy and in the studios, the all the time that we design in our personal design. Yeah, for in a one person that, and for this, I think the most important process that is all the categories that we learn, because we work with engineering, we work with building constructores civiles, we build with, we work with the designers, the designer graphic, and for an electronic engineering. And for this, I think that is the most important part in this challenge. Accept the challenge to work in a real team, because all the situations, it is a real situation. That for this, I think that we need to be very resilient, yeah, very strong in our mind and in a physical situation too, because we spend a lot energy in the design process, in the deliverables, in the presentation, but the most difficult situation is to be in the building, yeah, in the building process, in the construction, yeah. And I think it's a very difficult situation, but we learn a lot. And the most emotional thing in all this challenge is to give this home. Yeah, it's not just a house. Yeah, that is a home to the family that they lost all. Yeah, and I think that is the most important thing, that to be accept the challenge in the future.
Yeah. That's That's a really good point. And even like uh, in our project, we have seen at a time you will face a lot of challenges, and if the team is not passionate, people might give up at some point, and the whole project starts disrupted. So finding those passionate people and uh, constantly motivating them and keeping them on track is a big part of this project, and that's where the students learn to be more responsible in life, where it's not a studio project where if you don't do it, it won't happen. If you don't do something, a family's life will be affected. So,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
I think another thing is to get a project like this at such a young stage in life is also very fortunate, where we really get to build something, make a difference. And uh, like Nina also said, it's an experiment. So uh, it's very fortunate that we got this opportunity. So I think understanding that, and then when we are passionately involved in that, realizing that we never know when we get to work on a project as wonderful as this. I guess that's one good experience that at least I got from this.
Yeah, it looks like we reached almost an hour mark. Any last comment you guys would like to share before we end up? I I think looking at your story and the journey of changing design, the type of family you have chosen, I feel that I am proud to compete with team like yours, and fortunate that like each team has its own struggle and stories, but yeah, we all did it, so it's a big achievement.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think
Yeah.
as I been like, this is the third time I said that I've been involved. I listen to students, and I think all of them have left or have been involved in the challenge. They all have left with a lot in themselves, with a lot that they learn, despite that they come from architecture, engineering, building construction, on other specialties. They all have leave the university with something that they will never forget, I believe. And I think that the hands-on experience, the one-to-one scale, the real is very important. And another thing that is important is because the challenge is huge, especially when you think you have to move the house from Illinois to Washington, D.C. And when you see that at the beginning, you said this is going to be impossible. But if you see little by little, and then you're completing, it's like you're completing this task, you're getting closer and closer. And you never expected at the beginning when you started that one in few more months you were going to have a house. And that happened to us the first time when it went with France. We didn't move. We found a strategy in order to prevent to move a house. So we partnered up with a university in France, and we ended up being a very good team doing different parts. Like we did all the architecture, they did all the construction. And we ended up building a house in Chile, a house in France, and then we compete together. So it was, you have to find ways and solve, but we went little by little. Because can you imagine bringing a house from Chile to Versailles? It was completely crazy. It was 3 months that you have to subtract from the whole time just for the sending of the house overseas. And so at that time, what we did, okay, let's apply first. We got accepted. Wow, big winning. Then, okay, first deliverable, let's send it. Oh, we almost didn't got any comments. Look at this. Second winning. So that was the way. And at the end, we have a house where a family that need it is going to inhabit it. So it is little by little, they are small gifts. So that's what I like about this process. But I think, and so you don't have to be like for a group, something to say to feature decathletes. Don't give up before time. Keep going.
Yeah.
And like I think there are like few people in the organization who have to take risk to take the first step. And like I can see like faculty like Nina and Pablo, if you have a vision of participating in a competition in France, in US, and you push, and your vision is being carried forward by students, and the project is built. So like kudos to you guys like for taking such risk and step.
We're going to write it, Paulo, then. Our decathletes, our Chilean decathletes throughout history. Yeah, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go to that third one. Not now.
Yeah,
And I don't think Paulo will say yes.
It's very time consuming and demanding. Your family feels that, and somebody are more in love with the competition than your family and all that kind of things. But at the end, the gift of this competition give us is have a student that prepared to build a house in any condition, and that is more than the price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, it has been so nice to know your stories and journey. Like I just feel that the Solar Decathlon in future should organize this kind of sessions where every team gets to hang out with each other. You know.
I think what I also liked is I mean, we made a community within our university, but also with so many people from around the world, and we get to talk to them and learn from what they did and their stories. So I think this bigger community itself is so encouraging to be a part of. I'm so proud to be a part of a community like that.
Yeah. I remember like Sashi, like he's in energy industry, and he was mentioning that few of the team members in his company, when he met everyone, was asking about how was Solar Decathlon, how was the experience. So people also look forward to what a team did in a Solar Decathlon competition. So that's great. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it for the night. I had those few questions. Tomorrow we have engineering, and we'll have all the leads from other departments joining the call. So it's gonna be a different kind of discussion. I really, really appreciate everyone to join this call and your time and for sharing your thoughts. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Good night. Really
Yeah,
nice
bye.
meeting you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Ciao. Ciao, ciao.
Good night.
Chao, que estén bien.
Sashi?